With the new release of Silksong, I just had to make a diorama, and we have to go fast, because I'm not done playing it. But I can already tell you my favorite character of the game. It's the bellbeast, and that's what we're going for. As usual, a lot of tinfoil with the first day of Sculpey. Repetitive, right? But that's how you like your game. For the next part, we need some big scales, and I just rolled down some clay to the shape of a rectangular pizza and added it on top. And now we just have to repeat that step. I also tried to flatten the scales a little more because that thing is already getting huge and heavy. I then proceeded to roll down some tiny amounts of Sculpey and added those to the bug-infested scales to sculpt some fin-like shapes on top. First I made sure to connect them with the body, and then I smoothed them out with a silicone brush. He really doesn't have much details, so we take what we can. Let's move on to his cute little head, which reminds me of my own companion. The overall shape is pretty simple, I just have to get the scale right. It also looks like a skull or bone, so it's important to smooth it out and don't leave any texture on top. I also cut a little hole into our bug body to get a good connection to his head. I made sure everything fits tightly before starting to sculpt those little bone fins around his head. He got a total of 6 and they are slightly bent. These tiny details gave me a lot more trouble than I would like to admit. And I think it took me around an hour to get them halfway done, or at least look similar to the original concept art. Not what I expected. I can finally move on to cut out his 4 eyes. Well, I'm not sure about that one, but I make them pretty deep and will paint them black later. Now it's actually starting to look like the bellbeast, but something is missing, something that turns a skull into a bug.
Ooh.
So what makes a bug actually scary? I think the number of his legs are a pretty good indicator. I sculpted 2 balls. One ball stays as it is, and the second one will be sculpted into a tiny claw while I have a ball tool on his back. That way it will fit nicely into the first ball that we made. Yep, that looks pretty nice. Now let's get this big boy crawling. I'm pretty sure I can run him as a Tyrannid, but we're still missing our needle-swinging little hero, Hornet. Luckily, Hornet's shape is pretty simple. Her legs are just 2 little sticks. Then I cut out a circle of clay to fold it into his cape. You don't have to sculpt good, you have to sculpt smart. I rolled a tiny amount of Sculpey on my desk to create a little ball and cut it in half to create Hornet's characteristic head shape. I also made sure to avoid environmental double damage. Get good, bruh. Now we're missing a needle. I tried to sculpt the needle by rolling it around, but that failed. Then I took a little wire and tried to sculpt the Sculpey around that wire. That failed too. But hey, I have a ton of Warhammer stuff. Maybe I can find something in my undead bit box. Yeah, that's from the Coven Throne or Mortis engine. I'm not sure yet, but that will fit very nicely as a weapon. I just need to avoid baking it. I used FreeCut to create a tunnel-like background in which I can put the bellbeast in. Don't know how to do it? Get good! I used the new Q2 printer from Kitty which they nicely sent me, to print that big thing, because I need a big printer to print big stuff. It will take 10 hours, so I go to sleep, you little Murloc, take care of that. Well, that turned out pretty great. Let me just grab it and put our sculpt inside. It's definitely big enough. Now we need to fill it with bells. All my 500 bells arrived, and when I put them on the bottom of my diorama, I realized that is not enough. It barely covers the bottom half. Luckily, I printed 2 of these things just in case it fails. So both of them are just waste.
This is the worst.
Time for plan B. A much smaller version of the diorama I initially planned. But this time I created a little pocket on the bottom so the bells actually stay in place. One corner is warping, but I don't think that will be a problem. Did you know that you can put any JPEG or picture file into Cura Slicer and he will generate a 3D printable STL object for you? Well, I just did that and printed a little silksong sign. Quality looks also great. Let me just prime it black and paint the text white. A bug's life needs some color, and this big boy needs an airbrush. The most difficult part was yet to come. See, my problem was the overall paint scheme. I had a very tough time picking the right colors to paint him in the same colors you see in the video game. And while I have a variety of paints available, I just couldn't get the color mix right. Or at least not as close to the original art as I would like to have. Then I put down a red layer to give her the lethal hunter-like appearance we like so much. It is an aggressive contrast between her and the bellbeast. I painted her tiny little legs and eyes black, continued with the bellbeast, and finished with a needle. Then I added a lot of glue on his tiny legs and put him down, ready to crawl through some bells. But hey, we're missing some bells, right? I mixed all the different bells in a big bowl and added those to the base with super glue, piece after piece by hand. It was a very noisy experience. My dog was getting wild. Here comes the last bell. And now I want to say thank you to all my Patreons who make these dioramas possible. If you want to see more cool stuff like that, you can insert 30 rosaries to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.